Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bitcoin Miners Investor Support Group. I think we need it today. Today was a rough day on the, Bitcoin miners. Bitdeer was down almost 30%. Cipher was down almost 20%. I think it was at 20% at one point. But it wasn't a great day, right? The correction continues for Bitcoin here, it looks like. We got down to about 20% drop from the high of 109,000. We got down to, I think it was like 85,000. Today we weren't too far away from where I thought we might go down to around 78,000, which would be roughly a 30% correction here. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. Obviously with that, we'll take a look at some historical data on Bitcoin and corrections. And then we'll also take a look at the miners Cipher and Bitdeer providing their fiscal year-end results. We'll look at the quarterly results as well. On top of that, I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. And we'll get into Q&A. So should be pretty easy here. But as always, you guys know the drill, right? Not financial advice, for only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. If you enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out, and that's all I ask of you guys. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin and the miners today. They did not do well. Bitcoin obviously was down. It actually corrected towards the end of the day a little bit, but it was down 3.2%. At one point, it was like 5% down on the day. And we see that sometimes with Bitcoin. We are definitely seeing that correction here. I got rid of my wedge drawing here because we basically smashed through the bottom end of the wedge here, so that got nullified. That's no longer in play here. I think still, if we look at Bitcoin here, we can see that from the top here at 109,000, roughly to the bottom here where we got down to was about 21%. 21.5% roughly that we were down. Like I said, the 30% mark would be roughly right around here, which would be right there around 76,000, 78,000, somewhere around there, something like that. That would be a correction of 30% roughly. Will we go down there? It's still a possibility. Nothing's off the table here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has historically gone down that low. We'll take a look at that in a second here. We'll talk about it as well. Or maybe why don't we just talk about it now while we're talking about Bitcoin here in general. So let's go over here, right? This is from Plan B. He posted today, periodic reminder, 2016, 2017 bull market, which current bull market mimics, had multiple 30% dips on the way up. Have to get rid of the tourists, right? So we saw that we had a 38% correction here in June, or roughly in 2016. We had a 38% correction as well towards the end of the year here. We had a 33% correction right after the 2017 year started. Then we had a 38%, 36, 29% correction while we were all going up here, right? Recently, what we saw here with Bitcoin, I talked about this a lot here, just in a recent time span last year, right from basically March to down here when we ended up in August, we had a basically 33% correction on Bitcoin. It's taken a lot longer. I think the spans are longer this time around than they have been in the past, where it's taken Bitcoin much longer time frame to drop to 30%, but it does do it. We saw it here, like I said, last year. And then this time around, right, we've definitely seen a correction that's been lasting roughly, let's see, if we look at the first top that we had here, back here, I mean, we've been dropping for what, 70 days here, looks like roughly, and we went down about 20-some%. So can we go down even more? Yeah, it's possible with Bitcoin. So if we look at it, we could, I mean, it could take into even like March, April possibly, where we go down and into like the 78,000 mark, which 77,000 or 76,000 mark, which would give us a 30% correction that we've seen here historically on it. So nothing quite off the table yet on this. So 20% correction would be great, or 22% roughly that we got here today. I'll take it if we can get it, right, and continue to go back up, but we'll see where things play out. Nobody knows where things are going. If anybody tells you where they think that Bitcoin's going, they're full of hot, I'm not going to say it, but you guys know what I mean. Okay, so that's Bitcoin here in a nutshell, basically what's going on here. I'm still long-term bullish on Bitcoin and some of the miners as well. So I did buy today, I bought today. Some more IREN shares, I bought some more Cleanspark shares as well. So I added to my positions there as well, because I still think long-term we are going to be going up in Bitcoin here. And I still believe that's going to happen even this year as well. It's just right now we're having a correction on it. We've had a nice run up here, right from the bottom here in, where was it? Back here in August. From the bottom there, we had a really, really nice run up to, we were up 122%. So we need a little bit of pullback, a little bit of correction. I think that's healthy. And that's kind of my stance on it. We'll see if that actually plays out that way. But looking at everything else, MicroStrategy was down today quite a bit, down 11.41%. So it was down to 250. Last time was at this level was back in November. Bitfarms was down 8.87%. This thing has not been at this level since back here. This was back in November of 2023. Bitdeer was down a lot today, 29%. It was down only like 30% at one point. So this one has been back down to where it was back in November. It's had a huge run up here since that time frame. So from there to the top, it was up almost 200%. So it's definitely come back way, way down from that. The DeepSeek stuff that came out, I think also the quarterly results were not that great today. We'll take a look at those in a second here. And then Cipher was down 17.42% as well. This one hasn't been down this low since back in October of last year. Huge red days here recently on them. Cleanspark was down 8.43%. This one's also down below where we had the line drawn here on the Fibonacci retracement level. It dipped below it here. It dipped it below it back here as well, and then it bounced back up. We'll see if we get the same kind of action happening there. CORZ was on just a little bit here. I think this one did the best out of all the miners. It was only down 1% today, all things considering. It was down a little bit more, but then it bounced back up. So it's back to the level that it was back in September of last year. Hive was down 8.4%. Also, this thing is now back to where it was in May of 2024. Hut 8 was down 10.42%. It's back to where it was back in October. IREN was down 13.58%. It's back to where it was back in November. And then Mara was down another 10.62%. This thing is going way back here to November of 2023 is the last time it was in this price range. So a year and a half roughly. Riot was down 6.71% as well. It was down more during the day, but it bounced up a little bit here. So it's back to where it was back in November. And then Wolf was down 6.84% as well. And that one was back to where it was in August of 2024, somewhere around there. So not a great day. Small miners, for the most part, were down as well. Well, they were all down. AE was down 3%. Argo was down 3%. Bitdeer or BitDigital was down 6.2%. Digihost down a lot, 18.34%. All the gains that we saw here recently, it just gave them all up here. So hopefully you guys took profits when you were up there. If you got into it, DMG was down 9.48%. This thing's back down to where it was before in October of 2023. Mawson was down another 6.2%. That one's back to probably October, November 2023 as well. Stronghold was down 8.14% as well, and that one's back down to basically in August, where I think this was right around the time frame when Bitfarms offered to buy them out. And then we had the ETFs down quite a bit here. The biggest loser was WGMI. Lowest loser was BitQ. And that's it. So today was definitely a rough day for the markets and the miners and Bitcoin in general and the altcoins and everything else. It was not a good day. So we'll see where things end up at on that one. Let's take a quick look at the network hash rate as well while we're at it. I think we'll see possibly a dip in that. Yeah, I was going to say we're going to probably see a big dip here. We're down to 744 on the 7-day average. We haven't been in this level since December, the beginning of December here. So people are definitely feeling pain there. Miners are being plugged off. On the 30-day average, we're coming back down as well. Down in, what is that at? 800 exahash right now. So that bodes well for the miners that are still operating with newer machines, newer ASICs. They're able to generate a little bit more. I believe we saw today, Cleanspark was operating at like $23 or $23. Wow. 23 something Bitcoin per day generating. So they're improving their Bitcoin mine per day because of that as well. I'm sure others are doing the same thing as well on that. And then going back here, Bitcoin for the month of February is down 12.76% as of like the last half hour. We got, what do we have? 3 more days to go, roughly, right? Yeah, 3 more days to go in Bitcoin. We'll see where we end up at, but it looks like we're going to be in the red unless things really, really take a sharp U-turn here with Bitcoin price going forward here. So that's where we are on that. Let's get into the quarterly results of the miners here. We'll get into Cipher first, and we'll get into Bitdeer next. So Cipher provides their fourth quarter and full year 2024 business update here. A couple updates to talk about here. So they completed the upgrade of Odessa fleet, increasing total self-mining hash rate to 13.5 exahash. We knew about that. Completed acquisition of 100 megawatt Stingray data center site. Complete acquisition of additional 337 acres adjacent to Barbara Lake site. Entered into exclusivity with Priority Power to negotiate building an additional 500 megawatt HPC data center adjacent to Barbara Lake site. Grew pipeline to 2.8 gigawatts of site capacity with optionality for both HPC or Bitcoin mining data centers. I think that's in some sites, not at all sites. Construction of phase 1 of Black Pearl featuring 150 megawatts of capacity and expected to generate over 9.5 exahash remains on track to energize in the second quarter of this year, so that's good. And they also exercised their S21XP Bitmain option to support phase 1 of Black Pearl. So that's good there. I got to run the numbers and I have to add those into it as well. I haven't done that yet. I got to look through the data really quick. I'll do that probably tomorrow. And then Q4 2024 net earnings of 18 million or 5 cents per diluted share, and adjusted earnings of 51 million or 14 cents per diluted share at that point. So that was pretty good there. There's all their numbers down here below that. We'll take a look at it on my spreadsheet here. So here we go. Cipher, right? 361 million shares as of today or yesterday, whenever they reported this. Stock price today was 410, so their market cap is at 1.5 billion roughly. Performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great, right? I have them at 13.5 exahash. They are going to be increasing that with the options that they bought for Bitcoin miners through Bitmain. Like I said, I got to update that right now. So that will change for them going forward here. Going down here, last 4 quarters revenue has been increasing, which is good to see. Q4 came in at 42.22 million. I was off just a little bit on that. We'll take a look at that down below. Last 4 quarters operating costs minus depreciation have been increasing. That's a result of them increasing more hash rate. And then cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation, I came up with 36,000 for them. So a little bit of an increase here from Q3, but not bad. And then Bitcoin mine quarterly has been starting to go back up for them. So that's also a good sign there. Debt to equity lower is always better on this. It has increased a little bit here, but still really good. And the current ratio higher is better on this one. That's been coming down as they've been using the cash on hand and things like that to pay for all this growth and everything else. Going down here, total current assets have increased a little bit here to 168 million from 151, and their total current liabilities increased as well to 131.78 million in Q4 here. So that's been going up. That's the result for why these metrics have changed there. Going down here, I was off by 3.18% on their revenue for Bitcoin mining. And that's always going to be a little bit of a challenge there with them because they have the sites where they have a joint venture where they get 49% of that. That's not being reported on the Bitcoin revenue side of things for them. It's under a different thing. So came pretty close. I'm happy with that. I'd like to be a little bit lower than that even, but it's a lot better than what I did in Q3, which I was off by 7.38%. So we're getting better there. Still need to fine tune my things here a little bit maybe with them, but it's better than where it was. So I'm happy with that. Going down here, we'll look at some of these things here in a second. Assets, like we talked about, increased to 168 from 151 million, so that's good there. Total assets went up to 855 from 775 million, so that's good. Liabilities increased though to 131 million from 59 million. The big increase there was accrued expense. Excuse me. Went up to almost 70 million there, and short-term borrowings was 32 million as well. We hadn't seen that before as well. That's a result of that. Total liabilities came in at 173 million from 103 million. And that was, like I said, mainly driven by some of these things here and accounts payable as well on that one. Okay, total liabilities and stockholder equity went up to 855 from 775, so that's good. Revenue here. So self-mining 442 million for the quarter for them. Cost of revenues was 18.2 million. For that, compensation and benefits was 16.7, a slight increase from the prior quarter. Nothing too major there. General administrative was up a little bit as well, 300,000 or so, so that's not too bad. Depreciation was up 36, right? They installed more hash rate, so that's a result of that. Change in fair value was actually down 11.2. Power sales, yeah, some credit there, 1.6 million on that. Realized gain on sale of cryptocurrencies was 11 million for that. And then gains on fair value Bitcoin, that's the revaluation through FASB rules, 29 million there on that. And then here's, let's see, your equity and loss of equity investment. I think this is their joint venture there. They got 1.3 million from that. What else do we have here? So cost of revenue came in at basically 17 million. Total cost of operating expenses, right, was 25 million. And cost of revenue was 17 million there. Cost of revenue minus depreciation was 27 million. Gross profit was 17 million. So that's basically gross profit there. Going down here, other income, nothing else really major change here. Other expenses, something increased there in the quarter. 1.3 million from about 4,000 there. So that's definitely a sizable increase for them. And then loss before tax was 15 million. Net gain was 17 million here on that. So that's how they got 5 cents per share there. And then they lost 14 cents for the full year, it looks like. The good thing here is with them, everything was looking great. The thing that I really like to see was only about 4% increase in the number of shares. So very little dilution there happening in the quarter. That's good to see. For the full year, it looks like it's about 21% dilution. That's also really good to see there. This might be the lowest. I don't know yet. We're still waiting on some of the miners to report their quarterly results or fiscal year end results. And then that'll show us how they stack up to other ones. But that's pretty low here right now on it as it is. What else do we have here? We talked about a lot of the stuff already. Stock-based compensation, I didn't include that in here. Percentage of revenue, didn't include that in there. I still have to put that in there. General administrative went down to 61% from 98% of that in Q3, it looks like. Still high. Would love to see that come down more. But I think as they get more hash rate installed and maybe get some HPCI deals, that should come down going forward here. And then let's see here. What else do we have here? Talked about debt to equity current ratio as well. Book to value, I have them at for the quarter was negative 173 million, looks like, for some reason. But for the year was 681. And then price to book ratio came in at 2.1 for them. Enterprise value 1.5. EBITDA came in at 53 million. EV to EBITDA was 29. Debt to EBITDA was 3.17. And yeah, that's basically it. So overall, pretty good, right? Good quarter. They were positive on that one. Everything's looking good for them. I also plugged in a lot of the stuff from the quarterly results here as far as the sites that they have there. They do have a lot of sites here. They have Odessa, which is 100% owned by them. Alvarez, which is a joint venture, which is 49%, along with Bear and Chief, right? And we can see where the power sources are coming in as well, what the megawatts online are right now, what the megawatts futures potential there, megawatts total, and where things end up at. And then we have Black Pearl, right, 300 megawatts. It's 100% owned by them. It's electrical grid from what I can gather that could be used for BTC, HPCI. Barber Lake, 300 megawatts as well. That's 100% owned electrical grid. BTC and HPC potential. Stingray, 100 megawatts. 100% their owned electrical grid, unknown as far as what that's going to be used for. And then this new one, Reveal, I think that's what it's called, 70 megawatts. And then future sites that they have options in October 2024, we acquired the right to purchase 3 sites in West and North Texas, each with a targeted capacity of up to 500 megawatts. So that's where we're getting the 1,500 megawatts here for a total for them, which would be about 2.8 gigawatts, right? So that all works out right. And we'll just keep track of that, how that's progressing forward for them. I'll also try to do this for the other miners as well to see what their sites are like, what the megawatts there are, what the potential to increase those sites are as well. So I'm going to be doing some deep dives on those guys going here forward a little bit. But overall, things are looking really good for them, I think, right? Them getting they're growing the Black Pearl site, getting miners in there and everything else. That's going to be great. Based on the numbers that we have here currently, looking at historically backwards, last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, I'm in between 443 and 664. They're at 410. They are undervalued right now. Just slightly, but if we look forward to future growth and revenue and things like that, if we look at January's numbers for them, multiply it times 12, we get a little bit different story here. We get them at 644 to 966, which is much better at that point. They're definitely more undervalued as it is. And we can see the analysts have them at $11 for the high and $7 for the low, which is kind of closer to what I have them at. Okay. Overall, things are looking good there for Cipher. So we'll see how they continue to progress going forward. All right, I got to take a sip of water here really quick. Okay, sorry, my throat's starting to get dry here a little bit. Let's take a look at Bitdeer here really quick as well. So Bitdeer reports their unaudited financial results for the 4th quarter and full year of 2024. Some highlights here. Total revenue was 69 million versus 114 million. I'm guessing this is they're comparing it to 2023 numbers or Q4 for 2023. Cost of revenue was 63 million, pretty high there, versus 87 million from Q3 or Q4 of last year. Gross profit was 5.1 million versus 27 million. Net loss was 531.9 million versus 5 million here. I'm trying to figure out why such a huge net loss here. And adjusted EBITDA was negative 3.8 million versus positive 33 million. Cash and cash equivalents was 476 million as of December 31st, and crypto balance was 77.5 million as of December 31st as well. I think the reason the stock tanked hard today was because of this net loss. And I think it was because of that right there. That's just my thoughts on it. Excuse me. We do have some comments here. So in 2025, our self-mining operation, we plan to energize all of our mass production CLA1s and 28 exahash of the CLA2, excuse me, on top of our existing 8.7 exahash of self-mining hash rate for the time being. This will bring Bitdeer's total self-mining hash rate to approximately 40 exahash by the end of the year, basically. This target does not factor in additional wafer allocation anticipated from TSMC for CL02 and CL03, which could be additive to the Q4 2025 target of 40 exahash, depending on manufacturing schedules, right? So if they can get that, they could possibly get more. I would err on the caution of that and think that they would possibly do that in like the first half of 2026 potentially. So that's good, right? They definitely need a lot of growth here, and that's going to be a result of them having their own ASICs and things like that. Excuse me. The good thing is that they can actually get these at cost, which a lot of the other companies are buying and paying a little bit of a premium there. So that's good for them. The only thing is if we have a similar cycle like we had in the past where Bitcoin tops out later on this year, we could be on the, going on the downward side of Bitcoin, going into the bear market potentially. And at that point, their growth is going to be kind of moot here, I think, a little bit, because it's going to bring the stock down regardless if they're growing or not. They're going to be going down as well because of it. So that's why I've always liked companies that are growing more into this bull run by the end of like the first half to even maybe the end of the third quarter or something like that, where that growth is happening if we have a similar cycle like in the past with Bitcoin. Now, if we have an extended cycle, this might actually play out very well for them. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. Okay, we got all the metrics here. You guys can take a look at that. But let's take a look at what we have here for them. Bitdeer. All right, let's go up here. So Bitdeer has 165 million shares outstanding. I think this is still, Q4 numbers that I pulled in for them. That was at the end of December here for the numbers for that. Their stock price is at 926 a day, market cap 1.5 billion. Performance here over the last 12 weeks has not been great. Current hash rate about 8.7 exahash, future hash rate 11, but they're getting to 40. I probably should update that as well. By the end of the year, they will get possibly to 40 exahash here with building their own miners. Current HODL is 724 for them. That's 64 million right now as it is. Going down here, less for quarters revenue has increased a little bit here from Q3. Not much, 69 million from 62 million. And then this current quarter, I'm estimating about 66 million. We'll see where that actually ends up at, depending where Bitcoin ends up at by the end of the quarter. Less for quarters operating cost minus depreciation here has been coming down, but it's gone up a little bit here, so that's not too bad there. Cost to mine one Bitcoin has come up to about 50,000 here for them. And I think that's a result of them still using the older generation miners there. So not very efficient. And that's a result. You're going to see that happening there. Bitcoin mine quarterly has been coming down as well. Don't like seeing that. Don't love seeing that at all. Would like to see that turning around, but I think as they get more hash rate installed, that will turn around for them. Debt to equity, lower is always better here. So I think, well, this is obviously not good. 4.63. That's definitely pretty high here. Current ratio higher is better. That's also increased to 12.6. So that's kind of weird there. But we're seeing total current assets increase to 1 billion here, it looks like. But total current liabilities is staying at 85. Why did that come in at 4.6? I'll have to look into that, see why that to me doesn't make any sense here. So I'll look into that, see what's going on there on that one. Okay, going down here into the actual figures here. So total current assets is at 1 billion here. Why did that increase so much? I think repayments and other assets, 310 million here. That is a big increase from what we saw in Q3 for them. Anything else that was major here? Cash equivalents was up to 476 from 291. And then let's see, what else do we have here? Property and equipment went up to 251. Everything else stayed pretty close to where it was in Q3, so not much difference there. But it got us to 1.5 billion here instead of 1 billion here prior quarter as well. Total liabilities increased to 85 million, it looks like, compared to 80 million in Q3. Don't see anything major there. The only thing that we see here is derivative liabilities. This one increased to 763 million from 144 million. And then borrowings went up to 208 million from 92 million. That's why we have now total liabilities at 1.2 billion instead of the 525 million. So 1.2, I think maybe that's why my numbers are coming up the way they are on that one. And then total liabilities and stakeholder equity is at 1.5 billion compared to 1 billion here. Going down here, self-mining revenue, 41 million. Cloud hash rate, 2.3 million on that one. General hosting was 8.4, so that's down from the prior quarter. Same was cloud hash rate. That was down definitely quite a bit there as well. Membership hosting was up to 12.5, and then other was up to 4.2 from 3.9. So we got 69 million total instead of 62 for that. Going down here, cost of revenues. Okay, so 63 million. So that's definitely pretty high there on it. And what does that actually include? Not sure. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't even include general. Yeah, so that's just their cost. So that's not good there, right? If you got 63 million in cost and you're making 69, how are you going to pay for all the other stuff here? Selling expense was almost 2 million here. General administrative was up a little bit here to 17.6 from 15.8 million. Research was down a little bit here, 22.9 from 24.8. And then let's see what other income we had. An expense was negative 3.6. Other net gain was 479 million. So what is that? I got to look some more into what the heck happened here. Why did they lose 479 million here? Other net gain, right, which definitely lowered their numbers quite a bit here. 520 million loss on it. Not sure what that is. I'll have to look into that. If you guys know what that is, definitely put that in the comments. So we'll see what that comes up as. And overall, they had a loss of $3.22 for the quarter, $4.36 for the year. That's why the stock, I think, tanked because of that. I just couldn't figure out anything else why the stock was going down 30%. But here's all their breakdowns of Q4 numbers, right? Self-mining was 46.9 million. Electricity cost was on that 20 million, so they were at least profitable cost-wise on that one. But then you got add include depreciation on top of it and other costs. So without depreciation, we were at 23 million. So they were still profitable. Looks like by that, net profit about 49-50%. So that was pretty good there. Trying to think why their costs were so much higher on that. But cloud hash rate was 16.2 million. And let's see, or is that for the full year? Did I put in the wrong numbers here for that? Because that seems pretty high. Let's see, going back up here, I think I might have used the full year numbers for them. Revenues, let's see, self-mining was 41, 2.3. Yeah, I think I used, possibly used the, not sure. I'll have to look into that again. That's weird. Okay, so that's my other to-do list. Something's not adding up here for that. It's definitely a bit high there. $4.63 million. Self-mining, yeah, I'll take a look at that, see what the heck is going on there with it for the Q4 number. So I'll take a look at it. Disregard this for the time being. All right, what else do we have here for them? Going up here to the numbers up here. Talked about debt to equity current ratio as well. Book value, 276 million. Price to book ratio, 5.5. Enterprise value, 1.5 billion. Revenue for the year was 349 million. General administrative was 66, so that was 18%. So that's actually not that bad. And the revenue for Q4 was 69, and general administrative was 17 million. Is that right? Let's go back down here. 17 million, yeah. That's not including research and development, which that's for their ASICs, I think, more so that they're generating, they're building. Selling expense, that could be part of it as well on top of it. So it's not too bad. 26%, 25%, pretty close to what it was the prior quarter as well. So that's not too bad. Shares did increase a bit here. What do we have here? What is that going to be? About 15% increase from the prior quarter or so. That's still not that bad. But the overall increase that we saw here for the fiscal year is going to be higher, about 50% or something like that on that one. And then their cost to mine Bitcoin, we talked about that already, like, what is that, 49 here, almost 50,000 for the year. So they do have a lot of growth happening for them going forward, which is good. It's just the timing on that growth. Will they be able to reap the rewards of Bitcoin going up in value and maybe going into an extended cycle? If that happens, they're going to do possibly very, very well. If Bitcoin has a similar cycle like in the past where it tops out later on this year, by the end of the year sometime, and we go into a bear market the following year, that's not going to be a good thing for them. But they're going to be mining more anyways. They're going to be generating more revenue, but depending on where Bitcoin goes at that point, they're going to get hurt by that possibly. All right. So based on the last 3 quarters of data and the current quarter that we're in, I'm between 1377 and 2066. They're at 926. I think they're undervalued. If we use the data for the last month times 12 months, I'm even higher, right? At 22 to 33. That's more in line with what the analysts have them there as well. So I do think that they are still undervalued, but I got to find out what that big expense was, that 500 some odd million. What the heck was that? That hurt them quite a bit here on that one. So that is it. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how they do going forward this year, how they can, how they execute on their A6 miners, getting delivered, built out, and then progressing with the CL3, CL4, obviously later on as well. Those are going to be really huge things for them going forward as well. All right, so that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Let's get into Q&A here, as always. And then I got to write myself the to-do list. I'll do that here in a second, but I got to remember, I'll do it right now because I will forget, and then I'm going to have the bad data for you guys, and I do not want that. So let me see here. Bitdeer. Let's see here. Q4 revenue. Double check. My pen just died. Great. Revenue double check. Okay, that and the what was the other one that I needed to double check? It was the debt to these two down here. What were they? Debt to equity. Double check that as well. Make sure I got that right. Equity. So I was trying to get this stuff done relatively quickly. My son had a concert through school for his band, so that took up some of my time as well today. So I've been kind of pressed on time a little bit here today and trying to get everything done in time. So that's why I can say I was off on this possibly. It's just didn't double check my numbers here, unfortunately. So I will do that. All right, let's get into Q&A, see what you guys have to say, and we'll call it a day because we're getting late already. We're at 10:16 as it is. Let me see your Q&A. Where is it at? There it is. As always, if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark, I'm going to scroll my way up and work my way down a bit through it all. And it looks like my little computer is down for some reason. That's why I'm not getting anything here popping up. Well, I'm not sure why that one turned off here. So let me see what's going on there, see if I can get that thing up. Yeah, we got an error. All right. Well, that's not good. So let's see what do we got here. Now I need ticker, I need to turn that off, and I need to turn off the BTC, that one. All right, let me see what's going on with that thing as far as why it's not running. We'll see if we can get that up and running here shortly. And let me see here. You guys are here. I am here. Okay. Bring that down, bring that down. Why is my little server not running? Bear with me a second here. Unless I lost internet, but it's definitely connected to it. I mean, everything else is running fine on it. All right, I'll have to look into it later. I'm not going to waste your guys' time and bore you guys with this stuff. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, working my way up here. Okay, you guys have definitely been busy commenting here. All right, I'll start over here. I saw a question over here that I could cover. Okay, Magical Flying Machines here. If you could do this all over again, would you just buy BTC? Isn't this a lot of unnecessary energy and stress? I own Bitcoin as well, so gosh, I enjoy. I don't enjoy the stress and things like that, but I'm not stressing out yet. I was stressing out more, I think, back in 2022 when things were going way, way down, and I was down like 80% on some of these guys, 60%, but I just kept dollar cost averaging into them. So I think I was more stressed then than I am kind of now. I'm still in the green on these guys, at least, excuse me, 2 of the 3 that I'm in right now. Bitfarms, I'm down probably like 15%, 20% right now on it as it is. So I don't know. I'm not, I mean, it gives me something to do for one. And the other part of it is I'm still in the green on some of these things, so I'm not too worried, at least not yet. If I see Bitcoin going down to like 65,000, 60,000, then I'm going to be really stressed, and that possibly at that time the market or the cycle is going to be over with. Questions here. I'm numb. Are you? I'm pretty numb to this stuff. I've been through the cycles before, so I'm not too worried yet. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, let's see here. Miners are going back to January 2023 levels, boys. Bounce back later this year. DCA carefully, okay? Let's see here. Man, today was bloody. No support in sight. Yeah, it was not a good day. I think, like I said before, I think we might still go down a little bit more. That's fine. If you go down to like the 30%, 35% mark from the top, okay, that's fine. As long as we bounce off of that, I'll be happy. And that's historically what has happened with Bitcoin. So, until that gets busted or something like that, then I'm not worried until then. Okay, let's see. What else? Okay, Seb, there is a chance of BTC going to 75,000. Is it safe to buy the dip right now with the uncertainty in the market? Seems to me like it's trying to catch a falling knife. Well, the thing is, you really don't know if it's going to go down to 75,000. There is a possibility that it could do it, but what if it doesn't do it, right? So that's why I've been kind of buying the dip as it's been happening, because I just don't know if it's going to go down there. Things could be different this time around. But yeah, I mean, if you can stomach the wait and wait until things maybe go down a little bit longer, that might be the better way to do it. But I've been just buying that as things dip right now. Okay, let's see. Let's see. If it goes down, this may confirm bull market will be halted, or maybe we missed it. Yeah, if it goes down, I think if it goes down below 65,000, 60,000, something like that, then yeah, we might be in a bear market at that point. Jakey says, thank you, Trumps. Okay, here we go. Question, what's up with Fred Mara, all-time highs, $75 today, 12, oops. Well, it's just not Fred, it's the market in general. It's all these guys here. Mara did get up to, what, 30 some odd dollars here recently, and then it's definitely had a pullback like everybody else has. Bitcoin coming down here. So we shall see where it goes, along with all the other miners. Sorry, I'm trying to read some of the comments here. Okay. Christian says, been trying to warn you all for a year, and I was just getting flamed. The writing is on the wall for these stocks. Seb's price targets assume tech stock PE and price PS. They all have no long-term earnings. Okay. Yeah, you might be right. Time will only tell, my friend. All right, let's see. Think bull market is over, Seb. Also worried now that Bitfarms will go under $1 and not comply with NASDAQ rules. I don't think the bull market's over yet. Like I said before, like if it goes down to 65, 60,000 or something like that and continues to go down, I'll be worried at that point. At that point, I would think maybe the bull market is over with. But if we get down to like 78, 75, 73,000, whatever it might be, and then bounce from that, that's fine. That's like a typical correction that we've seen in Bitcoin. Not a big deal there. As far as Bitfarms going down below $1, if they go down below $1, I think they have, 90 days or 180 days, I can't remember, to get the stock back above $1 to be in compliance with NASDAQ rules there. So I'm not too worried about that just yet. Okay. Ron has a question. Hi, Seb. Appreciate your insights. What key analysts could reverse BTC mining stocks downtrend and any leading indicators you're watching? I think just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the biggest leading indicator there that's going to translate to the miners. Bitcoin starts going back up. The miners, I believe, will follow suit as well. Bitcoin goes down, the miners will follow it as well and fall like we saw today as well. So that's the biggest leading indicator there that you can watch for it. I don't know if anything else is leading indicator there. All right. What went wrong with Bitdeer and earnings that price nosedived, and what is future prospects? Future prospects are good, right? So like I said earlier on in the video, in the stream, Bitdeer prospects are really good because they have a lot of growth happening like the second half of 2025 and into 2026 and beyond even that. But if the cycle is the same like we've had in the past, where it tops out later on this year, wherever it's going to top out at 25 or 200,000, 250,000, whatever it's going to be, right? Or even 180,000. If it tops out at that point and we go into a bear market after that, then that's not going to bode well for Bitdeer because a lot of their growth is into like 2026 as well. So I think the more growth they can get here, the sooner, the better it is for the stock. But they definitely have a lot of stuff. And I think the stock nosedived because they had like a $500 million loss here on something, and I got to figure out what that is. So that's something that I have to look into. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to look into. Jeez, one more thing to do. To-do list. Question mark on the $500 million loss. 500 million loss. Question mark. What the heck happened there on that one? So I got some homework to do. Okay, let's see. Sodahead says it's best to buy Bitcoin and the miners when there is blood in the street. So I like that methodology as well. I like the phrase from, I think it was from Warren Buffett. Be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy, right? So as long as you still believe that Bitcoin's going to go up. If you think Bitcoin's done for the year, okay, now then I can't, you're going to do what you're going to do. Okay, let's see. Christian says Bitcoin cycles yield diminished returns. 3K to 20,000 equals 6x-ish. Then 20K to 69 is 3x-ish. Naturally, top is probably max 2x around 150,000, but probably honestly 120,000. Maybe, right? But depending, so you're looking at the top to the top, basically. Take a look at it from the bottoms of the bear markets to the tops of this, to the tops. You get a little bit different numbers on that point, and that's kind of how I came up with about 180,000 for this cycle originally. But yeah, you're going to get lower X multiples going forward as the price of Bitcoin goes beyond 100,000, 200,000, whatever it might be. But the same thing could be true with the corrections that we have, right? So in the past, when we had a correction of 30%, and we had multiple of those, like we talked about here back in 2017, right? If you look at these over here, prices at that point were much lower. We were, I think this is what he's saying, 2017, yeah. So we were going from basically like 1,000 to 19,000. You had a correction on that at that point. You're only going down like $3,000. Now we're going down $30,000 because the dollar value is much higher on Bitcoin compared to what it was back then. And the same thing is going to be true when we go to like 200,000. Right, the correction that we're going to have at that point, 30% is going to be like a $60,000 drop. So we're going to go down to 140,000. So it's more value that's being all washed out, I guess you could say, capitulated in that when you have those still 30% drops, if we still continue to have those, right? We could have, maybe the bottom isn't already right now at 22%, but we just had a 33, 34% drop back in last summer. So I'm not saying that's going to be the same, but you never know. All right, going back here. What else do we have here? Trying to find any questions. We got comments. We got plenty of comments here. Trying to see if there's any questions here. All right, Ron has a question here. Can we expect BTC supply shock in the next 6 to 12 months? Would miners benefit immediately, or could rising difficulty offset the gains? Follow-up, can we see number of Bitcoin in circulation? If yes, how? Yeah, there is a way to see the number of Bitcoin in circulation. Are you talking about just overall, how much is out there? There's plenty of sites that show that. Just search for that. You'll be able to find it. As far as a supply shock in the next 6 to 12 months, I mean, I thought we would be seeing a supply shock as it is right now. I mean, MicroStrategy is buying 20,000 Bitcoin here, 30,000 Bitcoin there. Other companies are buying it as well, holding it. The supply has been already cut in half this year because of the halving event. So you're only getting, what is it, 13,000, something like that, Bitcoin per month, right? You're getting 450 per day, right? Yeah, 450 per day right now. Yeah, so you're getting like 13,000 Bitcoin a month, and then you get somebody buying 20,000 Bitcoin here in a day. There should have been a supply shock already. But if you also have like states buying it later on, maybe the country's buying it as well, other companies, I would think you would see a supply shock. And if that happens, Bitcoin's obviously going to go up, and the miners should follow suit at that point as well. You can see your power says, actually, historically, the first 500 days after bear market bottom give less return than the 500 days before the bull market top. Okay. Okay, Christian says, you don't understand math, LOL, so you think Bitcoin will hit 200,000 during a tight macro market. Bitcoin is excuse me, already at 1.5 trillion market cap. It's like the 6th most valuable thing on the planet. Yeah, but there's still things more valuable than it, right? You got companies that are more valuable with it, and countries are definitely more valuable than that as well. So there's still a lot more money to flow into it. All right, let's see. Bear with me. trying to find some more questions here, comments that I want to post here. There's just a lot of, you guys are definitely commenting a lot, which is good. All right, Ron has a question here. Which miner stocks do you expect will see higher percentage gains going up, or any that might struggle? So I'm looking at the ones that have been beaten down over the last year. So like Cleanspark, even IREN to a certain extent as well. You might have Marathon in there as well, right? So those guys that haven't had that HPC AI play as much as some of the other ones that have, but those guys have gotten beaten down too quite a bit here recently. So it's anybody's guess right now, but I think the ones that are growing have really good hash rate growth already. Are at least above 30 exahash right now. As Bitcoin is in this price range right now, that's generating more revenue for them than the miners that are much lower than that as well. Getting to scale, I think those things are can be possibly rewarded there. If they have a HODL, that could also help. So you got to look at all of those things as well. Okay. Let's see. Top 3 miners you'd buy right now. Well, I bought more Cleanspark and IREN today. I would also maybe look into, I want to see Mara's results, but Mara might be another one that I would possibly buy. Cipher is another one. Cipher is actually looking pretty good here right now as well. So that one's got a big pipeline going forward as well. Good growth here later on this year as well. So that's one that I would look into possibly. Okay. All right. No hands here. Kind of question. At this point, it's almost better to switch to BTC, ETFs, such IBIT. My choice of miner, Bitfarms, has been free falling for a year now. Yeah. That was also my choice for miner there. I thought the growth was going to be great, but when things change and you get new data on them, you got to kind of adjust. And I did adjust on them. Like I said, I've sold about 2/3 of my position there. Still have a little bit there. We'll see where they go. Okay. Let's see, Cliff, where in Illinois are you located? East Central Illinois. I'm about an hour west of Chicago. So that kind of gives you an idea roughly. Hour and a half roughly. Let's see. B, question, do you have faith in Ben Gagnon, or is it time for him to be fired? No, I still say give him some time, right? He's only been in there for maybe, what, 6-7 months now, something like that? Give him some time to turn the ship around to the way that he sees the company going forward. So I wouldn't do that just yet. I would say give him, at least a year or two at the very least. See what he can do there. It's not easy turning a company around. Let's see. Christian says, Seb, that's delusional, I guess. You'd be way greener in BTC. Well, I own Bitcoin also, so I'm doing really good in Bitcoin as well. I've had that since 2017. But my thesis was that the miners might actually outperform Bitcoin here in the bull runs. Historically, they have done that, at least last cycle. So that was the thesis there. Hasn't played out that way yet. I'm still hopeful, I guess you could say, positive that might change here in the next 6 to 9 months, but we'll see. Okay. So is there any chance of BTC going to 75K? Is it safe to buy the dip right now with the uncertainty in the market? Seems to me like, I talked about that. Yeah, I mean, that's up to you there. I think there is a chance of Bitcoin goes down to 75, 78,000. Let's see, Christian says your Bitcoin at 88,000. There's literally nothing to be worried about if you had Bitcoin only. Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried. I was buying today. Ron has a question. Do you think Bitfarms' acquisition of Stronghold will pay off, or are there risks they'll have to manage? There's always risks, right? There's things that they said that they could do, the sites there, the coal plants that would make them operate maybe even better. There's also interconnects that they're going to be working on possibly there. If those don't get, they don't get approval for that as well, that's a risk. So there's always risks with anything with this stuff. But it's good that they're going into the United States more, trying to grow their hash rate there, get into HPCI as well. And those are all good things that they're trying to do. What can I say for sure? Mara will not hit 75. Don't count it out just yet. The cycle I don't think is over yet. Okay. Let's see here. How high you can think Hut 8 IREN, Cleanspark and IREN can do if Bitcoin goes to 180,000? So right now that'd be roughly, it's roughly, what is it going to be? Roughly 100% gains, a little bit plus that on Bitcoin alone. So at that point, the miners should, at the very least, do like a 2x, right? So 200% basically increase from where they are right now, or right somewhere around there. That's what I would think. So, and that would be probably the minimum side of things. But it would just depend on when Bitcoin gets there. Is it going to be later on this year? Is it going to be later on, like this first half or the second half of the year? Also, where does the network hash rate grow at that point? There's some things that have to play into it as well. Let's see here. How many miners that you follow are actually profitable? Which miners are you worried about surviving during the bear market, and based off of what metrics? A lot of the miners here, IREN is profitable. Cipher looks like it was profitable in Q4 as well. Cleanspark was profitable because of FASB rules. Who else do we have there? IREN was, IREN was profitable. Who else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm not too worried about any of these miners, these big guys here. They have definitely done things differently this cycle than they did last cycle. They currently don't have any debt as far as having debt with secured facility or using facilities or Bitcoin as collateral on those debts. So I'm not too worried about that. That was a big thing that beat a lot of the miners down last time and caused max pain to them. So they don't have that. They're in much better position as far as cash is concerned and balance sheet and all that is concerned from even from last cycle. They got a lot more cash right now. What else is different? Their hash rate is much higher. They're generating a heck of a lot more revenue than they did last time around as well. So I mean, the smaller miners, I could see having some issues there, right? Some of the smaller ones like Sphere 3D, Argo would be the ones I'd be watching out for. Who else? Some of the smaller ones, depending on their balance sheets and how healthy that is or not, and what they're doing going forward, if they're growing or not. Those are the ones I'd be looking out for. Okay, let's see here. Risk reward, if you can't buy into large drops, you don't deserve 100%. If it's about safety, just buy VOO. Okay, I would agree with that. Question, the people who are fearful, what's more of a sure situation? I guess what's more of a sure situation would be like buying into the S&P 500 or something like that. And just dollar cost averaging into that over time. Right, you're going to get that, what is it, usually 8 to 10, 12, 15% gains on it a year. You're at least possibly doing better than inflation. And that would be more of a sure thing unless the economy really goes into the toilet at that point. Okay. Question, what's more a sure situation, Bitcoin volatile or fiat dollar continue to depreciate? Historically, at least the last 10, 12, 15 years, whatever it's been, Bitcoin has been definitely the more sure thing, but it's definitely a lot more volatile. All right. Let's see. Warren Buffett also recommends fundamental analysis in companies that generate consistent earnings. I can guarantee Berkshire owns 0 Bitcoin miners. Why quote him then? I can't quote him because of his view on the markets in general, right? He's buying when people are fearful, typically, and he's selling out when people are, greedy, right? So I think that's something to kind of live by, I think, in the markets. You want to be greedy when others are fearful, and you want to be fearful when others are greedy, right? That's definitely worked out for him. What's, fundamentals, yes, Warren Buffett would never get into these probably Bitcoin miners because they are so volatile. He looks at companies that have, huge earnings, things like that. It's a different type of play. But there's no reason why you can't quote a guy just because you're in the Bitcoin mining stocks or Bitcoin in general. It's a Getfiller says, I lost 80% or more at this point. I'm thinking of exiting and going leverage on BTC ETFs. At least we don't have to deal with these shorts. They killed all the momentum and I don't see an out. Totally understandable. Yeah, if you got in at a much higher price, it looks like you did, then yeah. I mean, I definitely feel for you at this point, being down. The only thing, like I said, that has saved me in the past has been dollar cost averaging. Not everybody can do that. And it's one of those things that you kind of have to learn, unfortunately, at your own pace and time. Let's see. Aaron says states are all approving Bitcoin reserves. Also, yeah, they're getting closer to that as well. Some are not approving it, but a lot are approving it as well. Let's see here. This month really killed me. Too many negatives news in this week. Yeah, it's been a tough yeah, I would say it's been a tough February for sure. Not the February we were expecting for sure. Okay, what do you think about more earnings? Does that will affect on price? Bitcoin is going down and down. I think they're going to be positive EPS based on the FASB rules and their revaluation of Bitcoin, right? That's going to help them out, but we just need to see what their actual cost to mine is and everything else like that. We'll see that when they report. I think they're reporting tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So we will see that tomorrow. Let's see here. Question, hey Seb, keep strong, Don. Appreciate that, thank you. Okay. See, Andrew says, buy the Bitdeer dip. Market's freaking by the way they reported it. That loss they have in cash. Read the transcript. Okay, so I didn't get a chance to. That's why I said I need to look into it. I don't know what that is, but they lost. They have it in cash. Okay, I'll take a look into see what that actually is about. Something about Tesla looking pretty good under 300. I think Tesla is more of a tech company than a car company than anything else, right? Plus, they're doing so many other things. They got the power walls and the energy side of things. They got insurance there, the robots, the autonomy in the cars, the robotaxis, the insurance, everything else. I think a long-term play, Tesla is a good one, right? So if you can get in here, dollar cost average in, if it goes down more or so, I think Elon working with the President Trump there, with the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, I think he's, upsetting some people, and some people are selling the stock because of it, potentially. But I think the company is in great hands, nonetheless. I think they're going to do very well going forward, and if they can get the robots out and make them at a competitive price, right, where everybody can buy them for like 20, 30,000 or something like that, that's going to be a huge potential for them there going forward as well. Let's see, YOLO Gambler says, if you cannot handle a 30% correction, then you do not deserve a 3 to 5x. A 20% correction so far, and people are out torches with pitchforks. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree. Right? This is nothing new in Bitcoin. Yes, the values that we're seeing here as far as the correction is concerned are much higher because the value of Bitcoin is much higher. So when you have a 30% correction now, it's like 30,000 correction. Before, when Bitcoin was 10,000, you saw a $3,000 correction, and you had the 30% correction. So it is much bigger now, at least in that scope as well. So that's going to be taken into account as well. Let's see here. Hey Seb, thanks for the great work on these difficult moments. Why is the CORZ down so much if now the revenue will come from HPC? They're part of the market in Bitcoin as well, right? So they're going to take a hit on it as well. And then also when the HPC or AI news came out from DeepSeek about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or whatever, they took a hit on that as well. They're kind of tied into the Sol sector. Then we've also had the Microsoft flood about them canceling some data center deals, leases and things like that earlier this week, yesterday I believe it was. That has an impact on things as well. So it's just, it all ties together, unfortunately. What else? Okay, I'm getting close to catching up here to all your questions. Okay. Yeah, Andrew says, with respect to liquidity, this is a bit dear. We ended the year in a strong financial position. Yeah, 476 million, yes. Million in cash, BTR transcript, yes. But what was that loss there, 500 million? That's what I want to find out. Why did they lose 500 million? That buying mechanism, let's see. Okay. Let's see here. This channel is therapeutic. Thank you. You're very welcome. Absolutely. I try to be positive on things. Try not to be a Debbie Downer. We will eventually be a Debbie Downer when things maybe turn on us completely. But right now, I'm still optimistic. I'm still hopeful. We'll see. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to read the comments and questions if there's anything. Let's see here. See, Christian, I know, right? Seb also uses the phrase survival of the fittest when talking about miners. We know Charles Darwin never invested in the miners. That is correct. He was never alive to do that anyways. Let's see, Pitch Sharma says, hello, Seb, officially down 250,000 combined on all miners, bought another 10K. Nice. Yeah, I'm still, like I said, I'm still in the green on Cleanspark and IREN. I'm in the red on Bitfarms right now as it is. Bitcoin, I'm still up. I mean, Bitcoin I've had since 2017, so I'm still up on that one. I'm not too worried about that one anytime soon, but I did, like I said, I bought Cleanspark and IREN today. How do you feel about Bit Digital for their AI HPC business and ETH HODL? The ETH HODL to me, I think you guys know my opinion on ETH. I have it. I own some of it as well. I think ETH is going to continue to be like the number 2 coin next to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, is going to outperform those guys, all the altcoins going forward. And then as far as, I know that they're staking it and getting some yield out of it, which is fine. But I think they would have been better served maybe having Bitcoin, more Bitcoin there. They do have some Bitcoin as well. Their HPC AI business, I think is great, right? Smaller size. They're getting about $100 million in revenue right now. They do have some contracts that might be ending. I think one of their larger contracts is ending is it next year, I think it is. I think it was only 2 or 3 years. I can't remember exactly on that one. But so they still have at least like a year or two left in that contract. But they're buying sites now, which I love. They're expanding it that way. They're getting these smaller companies as well. And they're still in the Bitcoin mining space, but definitely a smaller miner at that point. I do think that they're not being valued the way that they should be probably. Okay, talked about that. What else do I have here? Okay. Sorry, just like I said, I'm trying to read through the comments. There's quite a few of them. Okay, there's more comments than questions. Okay, here we go. Question. Can you comment on Wolf going forward, please? Wolf, let me see. When isn't Wolf reporting? I don't think Wolf has reported their quarterly results yet. I don't even have Wolf here. So I'm not even tracking Wolf here. I don't think Wolf has reported their quarterly results yet. But they are definitely positioning themselves more into HPCI business. They're not even providing the monthly operational updates anymore for Bitcoin mining or even their HPCI business. That's unfortunate. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on them when they actually do report something, whether they get a customer or their quarterly results. I think they'll report at that point, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see them do them. Well, I think it's a little too late for that. I think they're done doing the quarterly or monthly results. Oh. Okay, what else? What else do we have here? Okay, questions here. Sure, Seb, quoting Buffett as justification to buy miners, it's misleading. Come on. Hello, you guys. PS, maybe miners pop up from here, but even Seb will admit he's waiting to dump them. Everybody's waiting to dump them, right? It's just not me. But I'm waiting to dump them probably not like in the next week or two. I'm looking more like 6 months to 9 months possibly on those things. And I've held on to them since 2022, right? So it's going on now like 3 years. So it's not something that I would pump and dump. Pump and dump, I think of something that gets done relatively like in a couple of days, right? Something gets pumped, and then it gets dumped and rug pulled on people. I would never do that to you guys. So you guys know where I've been investing as well. So hopefully that you guys can see that. Okay. Joel says, everyone a little heated on such a red day. Well, cold beer, everyone. Cold beer or cold drink, whatever works for you. Cipher says he's quoting Buffett as do not get emotional and take a look for contrarian opportunities. You know, that's okay. Be kind out there, guys and gals. See, yeah, anybody that makes a decision to buy a miner, that's on them. Yeah, you know, I never force you guys to get into these things. I just provide you guys where I think things are going to go, where things might be, and we talk about it openly here, right? I've definitely been wrong here, at least in the last year, on some of these guys for sure. Okay, I've pretty much come up to all your guys' question here. Let's see here. Andrew has a comment here really quick about Bitdeer. We'll take a look at that one when it pops up here. Okay, Andrew here. Bitdeer attributed its wider quarter loss to a non-cash expense of fair value changes of derivative liabilities, which are $413 million of loss on fair value changes. Okay, so on the convertible notes. Okay, so that's what that was for. Why did they do that? I don't think anybody else did that. And why would they do that? Well, maybe they just did that to get it off the books at the end of the year. So maybe that's why. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay. Yeah, it was the convertible notes for cash. Okay. But I didn't see any of the other companies do that. Maybe that's because that they are outside the United States. They have to do it with a different way, maybe. Maybe that's the reason why. Okay, let's see here. Especially how many Cleanspark shares do you own and what's your price? It's over 10,000 now. I have to look at the actual numbers, and the average is 563, 564, 563, something like that, based on today. So still looking pretty good there. All right, we'll call it a day. We're going on an hour here. So we'll call it a day. We'll see where things end up tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be in a much better, wow, that didn't do what I wanted to do. There we go. We'll see where things end up at that point. With everything, see where's Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's up a little bit here, 0.38%, nothing major. We'll see. We got some quarterly results happening tomorrow as well. I think Mars reporting, or somebody's reporting tomorrow. I don't know. I'm losing track of all this stuff here. And then 55% of you guys are saying that Bitcoin has not bottomed out yet, that I guess we're going down some more. So we'll see where we end up at. But I greatly appreciate you guys coming in here as always. Hopefully you found something useful, something educational, at least some part of it. But I greatly appreciate you guys spending time with me today, as always. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.